Welcome to the Smart Drive podcast, where driving education meets real talk. My name's Simon Horton. I'm an EV enthusiast and advanced driver.
And I'm Ashley Neal. I'm a driving instructor by trade, but I do a little bit on driver education on YouTube and other social media platforms.
Oh, quick plug for the other social medias. You are my most frequent TikToker.
Am I? Do you watch all the TikToks? Have you noticed?
I don't watch them. They just notify me.
Good effort. That, just on that as well, I'm not really plugging myself here either. Not doing myself any favours, but have you noticed what I do with any of the TikToks that I put on?
I just said I don't really watch them.
Good. I just repurpose stuff that I already put on YouTube.
That's why I don't really watch them, because a number of times I've looked at it and gone, seen that.
Seen that. I know.
It's just one on top of each other.
How are you, mate? You okay?
Yes, thank you. I am very good. As we were just discussing before we started, I'm a little bit warm, but that's my own fault for having my window closed and my blind down, just because it's a fairly sunny evening and I was getting a bit of light leakage. But all good.
What's the weather been like over in your neck at woods today, mate?
Dry.
What's it been like? It's been dry, yeah. We had a little bit of rain here yesterday, but it's been quite overcast in Liverpool today. But
they promised us rain on the weekend. So we're recording this on a Monday night. They promised us rain over the weekend, and we got nothing. And I spent Saturday doing a little engineering job on some water butts. So we've got 2 water butts working in parallel, and they're both bone dry.
Collected absolutely zero. We had a fair bit, to be honest.
I'll send some over here.
We even took the dogs out for a walk in the woods at the back of ours, and there was little patches of mud and the little stream that flows through the woods, which might be a little bit of an interest for a couple of people or a few people in Liverpool. There's an area in Liverpool called Chew Brook, and the little stream that flows through the woods at the back of mine is actually called Chew Brook. So there must be a link between them two somewhere. I actually don't know what it is, but I'm sure someone will be able to tell us.
Yeah, interesting. I used to live on a road called Newbrook Road. And I reckon all but one household on that street didn't know why it was called Newbrook Road, and we were in the household that knew, because the spring at the bottom of the garden was where the start of the brook was.
Chew Brook, interesting. I like stuff like that. I do. What have you been? I know what you've been up to. You've been over to France, haven't you, Simon? How was your trip?
The holiday was excellent.
Good.
Really enjoyed it, despite going over in the heat wave. Some of the activities we were going to do, we kind of just didn't bother with for the first week because it was just too hot. It was averaging 43 during the day, and our bedroom at night was not dipping below 30, 32 degrees. It was, pretty tough going, but there's worse things to complain about than being in the heat.
Yes.
And I was very glad that for 2 reasons. I was glad that we did a 2-weeker because it meant that it wasn't spoiled by that first week being too hot. If we'd have done a week, we'd just come back. But also the relaxing time that we had in the middle. Normally, we only go for a week. And by the time we've done 2 days travelling to get down there and 2 days travelling to come back, you've only really got a few days in the middle, one of which is packing, one of which is resting, So to do it for 2 weeks made a huge difference.
I think it's good to do that as well. It's horrible when you've got such a tight schedule and you're bouncing from one thing to the next. You probably don't get that relaxation that you actually need. When you do take a holiday. And just on that, there's a little bit. If it's okay, I wouldn't mind starting us off with this evening, Simon. If it's okay,
absolutely.
It's one thing that I've just made a video. I've just popped down to Southampton. My car is finally in for its dual controls. It's down in He-Man. They're getting a custom design. Well, they're sorting a custom design out for us. It's away for a couple of weeks. But whilst I was driving down there, I did a little bit of filming on this. So there is going to be a video on this subject. But perhaps we could probably discuss it maybe a little bit to start, and probably in a little bit more detail than me just talking about it. And it's about tiredness. But it's tiredness, not, for example, if you have a hard day at work and you drive home. Yes, you're tired and it can affect your driving. I'm talking about long-term tiredness. And I'd like you to just be straight. I know you will be, Simon, but over the last few months, while I've been training to do the London Marathon, have you seen certain aspects of behaviour that probably you wouldn't have expected from me maybe in the past? Have I seemed a little bit more ratty and a little bit naughty for certain situations when you've watched the clips on YouTube? Is that something that you've seen or noticed?
A bit more, possibly. I mean, you get the obvious advantage of being able to pick and choose what you push out. And I know you tend to do warts and all, but yeah, maybe a little lower in the tolerance levels. Maybe a bit in the slightly disorganized, slightly frazzled when we come to do podcasts and things like that. But yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and that's definitely the case. I was tired. The marathon did take a massive amount out of me. Just another sidestep from that, I'd just like to say a massive thanks to everyone who has supported. The Just Giving page has closed down now. We did £15,700. There was gift aid to go on top of that as well. It didn't reach my lofty target of £25,000, but I'm in no way disappointed. No, you shouldn't be.
Absolutely blown away with the amount that myself and Liz were able to raise. So thank you everyone who contributed. Even just buying a dash cam and using a different code to put your little bit that you would have saved, towards the charity. Brilliant. If you've used an Amazon link, all of that money all came into that big pot, and I'm so proud of what we've been able to do. So thank you about that. But during that training, it took so much out of me, and I didn't really realise until there was a few comments. John C, one of the channel's superheroes on how he performs on the road. He put a little comment, and I've had a few people say some certain things. And I always listen to the comments, and I always take it on board. And it literally was the tiredness for the marathon. Now, there's another one of my viewers and subscribers, I'm not going to mention any names, but I've had a conversation with him this week, and he noticed his driving standards just dropping slightly, not because of necessarily doing a marathon or tiredness, but stress that was in his life or is in his life at this particular point in time. Can you relate to that in any way, Simon? Have you ever had, you always see him a dead, horizontal, chilled out guy, but do you get sort of like stressed and not show it? And have you ever seen anything that comes out in your driving because of how you're feeling?
I can relate to it quite well. You're right. I am one of the most horizontal people around, and that's one of my superpowers when it comes to work, because when things are starting to go to the wall or it's getting really frantic, and I'm the level-headed, calm one in the room that just has that demeanour. But that doesn't mean I don't exhibit internally signs of stress, and it really does take an awful lot of self-awareness to recognise when that's happening.
Yep.
A particular example, not too long ago, but I know that I was commuting a reasonable distance and going through a redundancy process at the same time. And I knew that at the end of each working day, I had to really try and compartmentalise what I was dealing with on a day-to-day work basis to be able to concentrate fully on the driving. And that's where things like some of my advanced skills and the fact that I can slip into commentary drive really help. Commentary drive really, for me, is a leveler. It brings me back in, focuses me on what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But even the small things, even, you can end up, I'm sure Carla won't mind me saying, there's been times when it's been difficult with family members, or we've had a particularly stressful day or a weekend away, or something in our lives is causing us to have a bit of a discussion. I won't say argument, but discussion. It's hard not to take that into the vehicle and take that along with you, and that really will
impact
on your ability to concentrate. It's cognitive load. At the end
it is, yeah. Well, and this is effectively which started probably this podcast, our discussion on cognitive load. But I'd just like to probably challenge people a little bit who are listening and who are watching this, just to be conscious of how you really are feeling. And is work stressful at the moment? Are the kids doing your head in? Is the other half going on at you about something or the other? Is the other half coming in from work and just being a grumpy guts all the time? Is there anything in your life that's going on like that that's possibly impacting on your driving? If it is, you're well on the way to fixing that and sorting that problem. Recognition is the first most important part to it. But honestly, I can't give you any better advice than Simon's just said. Talk to yourself over your driving. It's such an important skill, commentary driving. Use it because it does keep you focused.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I agree with that. And if you are in one of those situations where the other half is wanting to brain dump on you, the excuse to, I need to do a commentary driver's practice is a great one. But don't tell Carla, because I've never used that one.
Okay, yeah, keep quiet. Don't let her watch these. And another thing as well. I've mentioned about just having little chats with a couple of people. Me and Simon have little chats when I get around to answering his emails. We do have little chats, but there always needs to be someone that you can bounce stuff off. So pick up the phone to that person who is your probably go-to and probably offload on them if they're okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Thank you. It needed to be said as well, but yeah, we'll draw a line under that. Let's move on. What else has been going on, Simon?
Well, no, look, let's not go a complete hard right and say that journey down to France, is tough. You know, it's a long drive. There's several sections where it's 300 and odd miles in a day, and I found at least one section of that this last time around where I was starting to feel the fatigue. And it's not, and it wasn't I'd not had enough sleep or the journey was particularly stressful. It was just it was a long leg and concentration levels were starting to dip.
Yeah.
But I've got an EV and a dog, and thankfully that forces you to stop. Other people don't. They'll just press on. And thankfully, the need to charge and recharge both physically and electronically, that helps.
It does help. Go on.
Do you want some boring stats?
I was just going to ask you, how did your car get on? And of course you got some stats on it. Did it perform as expected or better than expected? I'm not talking about how it feels and the nice machine that it is. I'm talking efficiency wise and as an EV. What was happening on your journey?
Well, let's just start with I can certify the air conditioning to 43 degrees.
Good.
It was extremely efficient at keeping us all cool. It did perform almost exactly as I was expecting it. Now, bearing in mind, this, if you remember, I said I was putting the roof box on.
Yep.
So that was a bit of an unknown, but I'd done my research and I'd tried to do some test drives ahead of time, and I was pretty much spot on. On local roads, lower speeds, I reckon about 10% efficiency loss by having the roof box on.
That's less than I thought, to be honest.
But go to motorway and auto route speeds, it's more somewhere between 15 and 20%.
That's actually
that variance is due to wind direction.
Yeah, I was going to say 30, to be honest. So that's pretty good.
I think it helps because the Audi is a bit of a slab to start off with. So the impact of having the roof box on, I think if you were driving a Tesla, which has got a much lower coefficient of drag than the Audi, I think that would
it may act as a sail a bit more. Yeah, I understand. I've actually purchased a roof box myself, Simon.
Very good.
I've gone for a big, massive 2-lay Motion 3. It's the double XL one, so it's about it's getting on for 600 litres, I think. It's a huge, big thing. Haven't stuck it on the car yet because the car's down in Southampton, but it is definitely something that I'm gonna have a little go at quite soon. I'm interested.
Good.
My trip down. Go on.
As I said, over the 1,800 miles that I did in the week, or 2 weeks, average consumption was 2.44 miles per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
I would normally expect, I think my UK average over a year was about 2.8.
Okay.
But bearing in mind this is during the summer, so I'd expect the average to have been more like 3 point something.
Yeah.
So, talked about the variances. I saw significant differences in cost of electricity. I mean, we do over here between, your home charges and the motorway charges, but over there were significant differences on the motorway charges costs.
For better or for worse?
Always for better, but still a variance. It's still cheaper over there. To be honest, it was partly my own fault. I could have targeted only stopping at Ionity charges where I've got a subscription and I got a discount. But I didn't. Yeah. I let the car decide where was the best place to stop. Mm-hmm. I was seeing something like 22 to 24 pence a mile on the auto routes.
That's not too bad, to be fair. That's pretty good going. That's pretty good.
I reckon in the UK, if I was doing the same sort of thing, I'd be over the 28 to 30. Mm-hmm. Local routes with local charging costs about 11 to 12 pence per mile. Okay. So I think that's pretty good.
It's pretty good going. It is. It's not bad. Just on that, my trip down to Southampton, I did it in. You talked about you stopped off. I stopped off once, but my Volvo 2-litre petrol. It's a mild hybrid. Did a little experiment on the way down, so my speed wasn't quite as high as probably it would have been. I'm not saying I'm breaking speed limits normally, but no, that's a little clue about another up and coming video that I've made. But miles per gallon from Liverpool to Southampton, about 240 miles. My 2-litre turbo, big Volvo. What do you think MPG it did?
54.
You were exactly right. How did are you psychic? Did I tell you? I didn't tell you, did I?
No, you didn't tell me.
That's amazing. Yeah, 54. Exactly 54. Yeah. It wasn't even 0.10. I think it was just 54. So, excellent. Wow. Can you pick my lottery numbers, please, Simon?
It'd be 54. Oh no, they don't go up that high, do they?
Amazing.
Yes, but that's really good, isn't it? This is going to show my ignorance. How much is fuel at the minute?
You know what? This shows my ignorance. I don't even look at the prices. I just literally just put it in. I wouldn't fill it up on a motorway because I know it's going to be more expensive. I think it's just under 150 a litre, 148 or something a litre for petrol.
So that's working out for you at about, 12.5 pence a mile?
Mm-hmm. So pretty good going for a big slab of a car. It's the first probably long journey I've done in it, and it was beautiful to go down. Just an extra little thing as well. It pulls us nicely onto this that we could probably just have a little think about. On the way home, I know it sounds a bit Billy Big Time, but I flew home. I chose to because time, as with everyone, is money. And rather than spending maybe 5 hours in a car driving home, or 5.5 hours on a train, I chose to fly, and I felt really guilty because I was thinking of the carbon offset and the carbon effect. But I've done a little bit of research, a touch. I haven't got the stats exactly like you probably would have done, Simon. But train, car, or plane, which order would you put them in lowest carbon offset?
I'd go train, car, plane.
Yeah. Absolutely. Trains, absolutely the best. But to be honest, if you're a single occupant in a car driving all that way, there's not a massive difference between flying and driving, which did surprise me. If you stick another passenger in a car, that makes things a fair bit different. That's when the benefits do, start to be shown. But it wasn't too much difference. It's not something that I'd do all the time, but because I was without a car and the train journey was going to be 5.5 hours, I just decided to get myself home to Manchester. I did actually take the train home from Manchester as well, which was quite a pleasant experience. It was a lot easier to get from Manchester Airport back home to me in Liverpool, and actually my local station, than I thought, to be honest. So it was all in all pretty good. But just for people, just if you can, just have a little think of the carbon effect of your journey, and if you can do anything to lower it, please try and do so.
How full was the flight?
Probably about 30% full.
Because that obviously makes a difference. They'll quote a certain amount of carbon used for the flight per person, but it depends how full it is.
Yeah, that's a very good shout. So really the research that I've done goes exactly hand in hand with what I've said about the car and an extra passenger, but because that plane was probably 30% capacity, 3 times the carbon offset is stuck onto my shoulders then, isn't it? So yeah, it's a good point, Simon. Yeah.
But that's why it's even more important that the operators try and get as many people on board as they can, which is why they have variable pricing, because they're trying to get as many people into their planes and trains as much as possible. Because the same, although the carbon effect with taking the train is lower, the same thing applies. If you get on a virtually empty train, then you as an individual are carrying the vast majority of the burden of that carbon.
Yeah, that's right. Just out of interest, I don't know how I know it's impossible to do when you're out on your journey to France, but I know there are some charging infrastructures to suppliers and companies that produce renewable electricity. Do you ever take that into account when you're topping up your electrons in your Audi?
No, because most of it's smoke and mirrors anyway. Because
interesting.
It's all done through carbon offset and carbon vouchers. Effectively, none of the providers to the grid or to any of the charging networks get to say where their electricity comes from. They can't say, "Oh, mine comes from those wind farms over there," even though they may own the wind farms, because it's all being ported into the grid and then redistributed.
I get you.
I think that doesn't mean that you can't choose a network provider or to a charger provider that does do good carbon offsetting. GridServe is a good example of how they're set up. But no, I don't really think about it. I do think about the time of day that I charge.
Okay, yeah.
If I don't need to charge when the grid carbon levels are high, then I won't. Cool. Regardless of cost. And of course, while I was in France, I downloaded their equivalent of our GridWatch app and had a look at their grid carbon, and it's significantly lower over there than our grid.
Interesting.
Well, they start with a base of nuclear, whereas we start with a base of gas.
Yes, which obviously, and there's discussions each way. I get that, and it's not something that we really need to be going into on this podcast about different types of energy, but it is something that I do think that we need to think about. Just with the warm weather over the last little bit as well, I've been keeping an eye on our solar system, and because there's been so much solar production, it's been filling our storage batteries up quite quickly, and most days I can sort of work out when our storage batteries are going to be full because of the solar, and I literally trickle charge Liz's car. I've been making use of it, and I haven't charged off the grid Liz's car in probably about 2 months, Simon.
Excellent.
It's been very good, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's the perfect way of doing it, isn't it? You're not paying a cent for it, and it's coming from a renewable source. So brilliant.
It's an ideal way of doing it. I've actually got an electric car on my path at the moment as well. While my Volvo's been down in Southampton, it's only been there a few days, but one of my lads has lent me his BMW iX3. So I'm trundling around that for a couple of weeks. He's very good of him to lend me that. He's just purchased a new vehicle. Well, him and his wife have just purchased a new vehicle for her, and he's just finishing his PhD. He's not doing much at the minute, so he said, "Yeah, Dad, you can borrow that." So I'm going to be doing the same with that. I did a little bit this afternoon because we had a little bit of sun. Whacked it on the trickle charge, and I think I got about 15, 20 miles out of it. But again, it's free and it's zero carbon, so all good.
Mm-hmm. Was that the one that you did the car vertical integration about?
Not. Oh, no. Yes, I did. Yes, it was probably a year or so ago. You well remembered. You're doing really well tonight, guessing my MPG and remembering that far back. But yeah, it's a nice motor, to be honest. I was having a little play with it today with the adaptive cruise, and it's got steering inputs. It does something very similar to your car as well. It adjusts how it slows down, even coming into roundabouts. Honestly, the system on that BMW, it's pretty good. It's not the quickest thing. It's probably not the most efficient thing. However, like I said, it's a cracking car. I actually, as well, I got out of it today and didn't grumble about my knees or my back. So I can definitely see the benefits of an SUV.
Oh, good. I'm going to do a physical test with you at the minute. So apologies to our listeners, but for viewers' purposes, Ashley, put your glass down.
Go on.
Can you hold your right hand as though you were holding a steering wheel?
Do you want it on screen?
There you go. That's fine.
Yeah.
Now, can you do the same with your left hand? Right. So please do that and not drive around with your hand on your leg.
That has been that's been my work in progress over the last little bit as well, Simon.
The first lot of clips after you got the Volvo, there was almost an entire thing where I thought, oh, he's slipped into automatic mode.
Yes. Absolutely did.
So easy to do, isn't it?
Absolutely did, yeah. And people are correct about it, and that's why the community that I've been lucky enough to build over the past 12, 14 years doing YouTube rubbish is brilliant. I suppose. Would you say that I probably offer a level of governance to other driving clips with what I do? I do really, don't I?
Yeah, you do, yeah, absolutely.
Putting myself out to be the governor, but I do. I go over clips and I analyse them and I try to show people where they could have been better. But my viewership governs me. And I totally appreciate in a huge way all the comments, and they were absolutely right, and you're absolutely right. The next set of clips are totally different because of what people have said. And I get it. I know I'm in control with one hand. I know I would see a situation. I mentioned it before. It's always been a poor habit of mine, but I call it a boxer's guard, where you can't have your hands up here all the time. You've got to relax them at some point. And I will say, constantly holding the wheel when you are driving for 5 hours will be tiring. There may be little sections where you can give your hand a little stretch and maybe stretch it out and hold one hand for a little section, but make sure you do it when it's quiet and risk is low. But that was always my poor habit. But the automatic did accentuate that, and it's not a good example. I should be setting the highest possible example I can, and I wasn't throughout that little section. So thank you for bringing it up on this as well, Simon, but thanks to all my viewers and subs. Top class.
Yeah, I knew that there would have been more feedback than me just taking the mickey. But the thing is, I was always, when I did my advanced courses, and in fact, I've had comments on some of our drives out where people have said, does he ever take his hands off the wheel? I'm like, yeah, I do occasionally take my hands off the wheel, but it's been drilled into me by when I was doing my advanced driving about keeping both hands on the wheel. And the way it was explained to me was, if you've just got one hand on the wheel, doesn't matter which hand it is, and you need to make a corrective action with the one hand before your other hand gets there, if you're lucky, it's in the direction where it's easiest to do, which is to pull down.
Yep.
If you're unlucky, it's a push up, and it's a slower and harder manoeuvre to do with one hand. Now, It's not going to make an analysis point of view. It's not going to make much difference. But that was the reason it was drilled into me, and that's the reason I am mercenary about having both hands on the wheel as much as possible.
Totally agree. And I'm not defending any action. It may sound like I'm trying to defend it. No, it's correct what Simon's saying. It was incorrect how I was operating the car. But I never found it an issue because of anticipation. I would always see things and doing what I do. It's a different level again to be a driving instructor and be another 3 or 4 seconds ahead of where you actually need to be to then operate the vehicle yourself. And I was never caught out with anything because I always knew what was coming up. People were also saying, oh, what if a kid stands off the road? Well, by the time I've jumped onto the brake pedal and made that assessment of whether I need to do the steering, I've got my hand back on the wheel anyway. I'm not saying that's the correct place to do it and the way to do it. However, I was never unsafe, but it could have just been a better example. You're absolutely right, Simon.
Yeah, but actually, it's a good point that in most circumstances where something happens that you weren't anticipating, like that, or the puncture, or the ice, or something like that, the first thing you want to do is slow down, not steer.
Yeah.
So you can sort of take that as an argument.
Yeah, saying that though, I'll just probably go against the ice thing, and this goes back to the Porsche experience I did at Silverstone. That I was lucky enough to go off and do, and they did the kick plate on there, and it was. I think I've explained it on one of these podcasts before that you drive over a couple of metal plates, kicks the back of the car out, and it starts to rotate, and you've got to save it. And my issue that I didn't fix that as soon as I should have done was because I reduced and came off the gas as soon as it started to rotate. That then pitches the front of the car forward, which increases that rotation. What you should do in that situation is just keep your right foot exactly the same, sort the steering out, and then come off once it's straight. So in that situation, me having just one hand on the wheel would not be good enough. So people were exactly correct with their analysis of my one-handed driving.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Can I pick on you again?
Of course. By the
way. No. Many people over the time that I've dealt with them have a way of working out what time is and how to count a second. And some people will say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Other people will say 1 elephant, 2 elephant. Yep. Ashley Neal says
1 banana.
Yeah. Now, I sent you a video clip before we started this.
Yeah.
Of our Athos.
Yes.
I was watching your video on the big telly in the living room.
Okay.
And he was busy off doing something else, and you said 1 banana, 2 banana. At which point I'm then getting the evil stare from the dog going, "Where's my banana? Somebody just said banana."
Sorry, Athos.
Amazing. And I let him down gently and go, "No, that was Ashley. That was me. I didn't say that. There's no bananas being consumed here today."
Oh, brilliant. That is such a good one. That is amazing. That's superb.
Priceless.
That's brilliant. One recently as well, which has gone on, and I've got to be really careful. I'm not going to say it on here as well, is asking, on my Apple iPhone, if you would like it to do something and you would like to ask your Apple iPhone a question, or if you are asking your Amazon device a question. I've said that a few times on videos, and there was one, I think, the other week that someone had called 999 and they'd asked the Amazon device to call it, and so many people said, you messaged in and said, "Thanks a lot for that, Ash, because my phone actually rang the police."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oops.
Interesting fact. The reason that doesn't happen more often, particularly on TV programs and the like, that why that doesn't trigger is there's a collaboration between those networks and the TV production companies, and they send in the clips that they're going to put out, and that will get written in as an anti-pattern on the device.
Makes
so if somebody said that word within a program, and you'll go, well, why didn't it pick that up? And yet it can pick me up saying it 300 yards away. That's the why.
Because it added all the text either side of it.
Because it's already written in to say, if you hear this TV program saying this, don't do it.
That's good going. That's brilliant. Sorry, Athos. I'll bring you a treat next time I'm around, mate.
It's face.
What are you superb. How's he been in the heat, mate? Did he cope with the journey, reasonably well?
Journey wise, yeah. Journey wise, he was spot on. He was chilling out in the back of the car. Mm-hmm. We had our niece in the back seat, and she kept checking on him, and he was spent most of the time just asleep or occasionally sit up and look out. But we've got the sun visors on the back windows. We've got fans mounted to the dog guard, so it was circulating the air conditioning through. He was quite happy. There was a couple of times when we got out, there was one particular charger we got out down south, just south of Le Mans, where it was about 38 degrees, and I got him out to go for a wee, and he was sort of wandering around and went, yeah, right, can we get back in the car now? Pull him back in. Yeah. He didn't enjoy the heat down in France for that first week. He's just not used to it.
No. It has been difficult, to be fair, for the animals, and just on a slightly altered topic, I suppose. Right, we've both got dogs, but please, people, when it gets really, really warm, don't take your dogs out. The pavements can be so hot for the pads, and I've seen it a few times over the last month or so. No dog is ever going to die from not being walked. So if you don't have to, don't. Leave it till late on in the evening, and a week later if you have to. In fact,
there was one night in that first week, and we were just outside on the patio chilling. There was maybe some alcohol involved, and both dogs were, don't know where they were. Got to about 10:30, and it was like somebody had flicked a switch. They both came alive. They both wanted to play. They started running around the garden like lunatics, like they normally do as best friends. Yeah, and the temperature must have just got to that point where they went, hang on, this is all right.
It's all right now. Ours have been doing the same. It's sort of like that last loo break before we go to bed and put them to bed, and they're like, playtime, yeah. Funny. Good effort. Mm-hmm. Anything else on the agenda, Simon?
Well, yeah, I've got one question. Actually, this relates to, I was saying, we had our niece in the car on the way down. She turns 16 tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And while we were over there, we were just generally chatting about cars and stuff like that. And I said, are you going to learn to drive when she's 17? She said, I want to, but Mum and Dad want me to wait until I'm 21. I'm like, well, why? And there was a bit of back and forth about whether, I think we were definitely getting the teenagers' version of the story, but she was like, well, I just don't see the point in waiting, and then things like that. I'm of an age where I went, no, you're better off at 17. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to ask an expert. But until I find an expert, I thought
I was going to say, I might go and ask a few other people on YouTube. I think it's one of the biggest things that turns a young adult into an adult. I think it's a big part of growing up, taking that responsibility. And it's probably the highest, or one of the highest levels of responsibility that a person of a young age can have to operate a 2-ton plus machine sometimes. It's also probably easier the younger you get. I think the longer people leave it then becomes more and more difficult. But I don't think at 21 it would be a big deal. There's a big number of people who put off driving until they finish uni because of the costings of things. But what people don't really realise as much as they should do are the problems with job opportunities that they're missing out on if they don't have a driving licence. And it's still the same. Even within your industry, Simon, do you think you could do your job without a driving licence, or would it become very, very difficult?
Good question. I don't think it would be as prohibitive as it was before COVID.
Okay.
Definitely not. But certainly it is advantageous. How many times would I need the car in a year to do my job? Very few, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
So no, I don't think it's that prohibitive, but I think I'm in an exception.
Yeah, I was going to say exceptional. I think there are a lot of companies who, even a few of my lads who civil servants, they work from home more than they go into the office. And one of my lads who does go into the office, he chooses to get the train. He rarely uses his car apart from, just going out the weekend with his mates and bits and bobs. So that's maybe then less of an argument. But I think people should just be given a choice to learn when they want to learn. 17 is totally fine. They've got the skills. They have the usually the mental capacity to cope with it quite comfortably. I think, like I've just said about the responsibility of certain aspects of learning to drive, I think that helps them, if I was honest, progressing themselves. Personal. I just what's the preference to do it now or to leave it till 21? Is it going to cause conflicts between parents and child?
I don't know. It's a much deeper conversation to have. I think she was possibly just looking for an angle to say, well, Uncle Simon says I should learn when I'm 17, but I wasn't getting involved in that. No. The interesting one, the university one is quite interesting for me because I certainly put my driving licence to use while at university. With clubs and activities that you can get involved with, and often just being a competent driver or being able to help out and shuttle people around can be really useful, even if you've not got a car. I was on the minibus rota. My friend Andy was a regular minibus driver on the rota. That reminds me of one particular trip, which is probably not broadcastable. Anyway,
tell me later.
Yeah, but that's it. Just opens more doors. So,
I think so.
Yeah, I think my preference would be to do it early, but
me too. I did. As soon as I turned 17 in the December, and I'd passed by the 8th of February. All right, we didn't have the problems with waiting lists back then, but I do think it's potentially restrictive, where there could be someone else going for a job who's got a driving licence, and that could be something that the company looks at and says, that person's got a little bit more flexibility. I don't know. I'm not in that industry. I don't think there's a difference between 17 and 21 from a grown-up perspective that's any issue. But if you left it till you were 50 to my age, yeah, there's a big problem. Excuse me, one of my cats is trying to get out. Give us a moment. I'll be back in a sec. Go on, Theo. How you go, kiddo? Sorry about that, everyone. I thought it was going to be the dogs that were going to cause us a problem, but that was Theo. My nickname for him's Yobbo, so he'll probably end up scratching the door down if I didn't let him out. So I don't think it's a big deal. 17, 21. Yeah, just let her try and just encourage her to do what she wants. As long as it's hard, it's easy to say that if mum and dad are paying for the lessons, though. Yeah, that's always a big problem. Who's paying for them?
Yeah, but a big tick for her, and I'm hoping she doesn't mind me sharing this, but she's just turning 16. She's already lined herself a job up at a local aquarium. She's taking her swimming teacher qualifications, within a few weeks. Still relying on her mum to shuttle her to all of those things to go and start earning money. So for me, the faster that she could shuttle her herself, the less of a burden she'd be on mum's taxi.
She's the type of person who needs to do it as soon as, without question. Absolutely without question. It's an interesting one. I wonder what the average age is nowadays to learn to drive. Don't know. I don't look at stats like that too much, to be honest. But just on a little bit in relation to learners, now I've got my dual controls in the car or being put in. I'm going to take a few learners on as well, Simon. Right. I'd like to take 3 on. I don't need to, but I just think it's right for me just to keep my hand in, if you like. Mm-hmm. But I would like to test myself. I'd like to have a learner who is absolutely brand new, going to start from the beginning and go through that whole process. I'd like to record another series of me start to finish with a new learner. I'd like to also take someone on who has a test booked and has been discarded by another instructor just to see the difference. And I'd also like to teach someone who's neurodiverse. Just to see the difficulties that they can have in learning to drive and how you need to approach things differently. So if anyone sees this and is in the Liverpool area over the next little bit, get in touch and you might be a part of a few YouTube videos if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Bear in mind it's an automatic.
It's an automatic, so, yep. Yeah.
So people, it lowers the barrier for learning to drive, but then bear that in mind when you're wanting to take your test.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's sort of where I'm at with it. I'm looking forward to getting the dual controls in the car and maybe getting back into the nitty gritty of it. But I haven't actually needed the dual controls over the first 4 months of the Volvo. It's been quite easy. I could probably do without a driving school car now, if I was honest, but I don't think that's right.
No. And our regular listener / viewer will remember that Ashley did promise we were going to record this one in the Volvo. And he did speak to me last week and said, no, it's going to be in Southampton. So that's why we're in the studio.
Yep. But we will do that. I promise, we're not going to do it on the next one because myself and Simon, Simon's organised something and I've just gone, yes, that's a good idea. We shall do that. So thanks, Simon, for all your work behind the scenes. So we won't do the Volvo next time, but I think we'll probably get it in. We'll probably get it in the one after or soon. Yeah. Or is there one in between that?
There's one in between.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is, isn't there? Yeah, people won't know what we're talking about, but I think they'll be going, oh, I wonder what these two are up to. Yeah. We'll try and get in the Volvo next time. Cool. It should be back quite soon.
What else can we talk about? Is there anything that's on your mind? Is there anything coming up that you want to talk about?
I don't think so, really. Still trying to organise a little trip away to get down to the south coast. I'll definitely be filming that, but I've just been inundated. I've got a loaner car, which Simon knows about, coming from a particular manufacturer that we're going to have a little look at. Apart from that, it's just normal stuff, to be fair, Simon. I've got still plenty of driving instructors who are doing the course. I've got so many brilliant clips being sent in. There's one clip as well. It's some idiot driving the wrong way up a one-way street in France. It's amazing. It's going to go out soon, Simon. I wonder who that was.
Yeah. I wonder.
I've seen worse. I've seen it. To be fair,
I've seen a lot worse, but I had to fess up to that one, particularly from if you look at the reactions of people around. On that topic, then, this I wasn't actually going to bring this up, but I struggled with the dash cam while we were away.
Okay.
And I thought it was heat related for obvious reasons, but it seemed to get itself in a real tizzy. And for quite a few days in the middle of the trip, it wanted to record when I was parked and not record when I was driving. So I've got an hour-long piece of footage where the car was parked outside a restaurant that we'd gone to, but the journey to and from the restaurant, it didn't bother. Now, that wasn't heat-related. It just seemed to get itself in a right tizzy.
Memory card. Do you format your memory card quite often?
It wasn't memory card related because I swapped memory card and it carried on doing it. And the one I swapped it to was a new one because I said I bought a new card especially for that. And it's starting to do it again. So I don't know if it's the camera because mine's quite old now or if something else is going on. But yeah, it was quite frustrating because there was 3 occasions where I pressed the button and went, oh, it's not even recorded. So we've missed some clip opportunities. But I don't think it was purely heat because all the journey down, all 300 odd miles there, I got all of that, no problem, without any interruptions.
Unless it's sort of like the heat has just absolutely obliterated and it's just give up the ghost later on. It's not the first conversation I've had about dash cameras recently as well. I'm having an issue with mine where the audio and video isn't synced and it's causing me an absolute headache with all the video editing because I've got to detach the audio, retime the audio, and then even the clips don't sync up with 30 frames a second with other dash cameras and other cameras that I use with 30 frames a second. It's a pain in the backside at the minute. Smiler Bob has also had a similar issue with his A229 Plus, and it's been since a recent firmware update. What model's yours again? Is yours a 229 or a 129, Simon? Can you remember? 229, I think, isn't it?
It might be a 229, yeah. Which I put it in the... Is it the EV6 I put it in first? So it's 4 years old?
Probably the 229. Maybe I'm in touch with VFO at the moment over this. And let's just ask you this because I've asked the same question to VFO. Well, I've told them. And this is what Smiler Bob actually found out. He did a little bit of investigation into his own recordings. Do you use your camera with HDR on?
Don't even know mine supports it.
Okay. Have a little look in the settings. So. If HDR is on, turn it off and see whether if it makes any difference because Smiler Bob has found out that when you turn HDR off, it resyncs audio and video. I don't know whether there's maybe a little problem with the latest firmware. Have you updated the firmware on yours prior to you having problems?
No.
Can't think.
Firmware version is probably 12 months old.
Okay.
So it's not that.
Not sure. If you have any further issues,
I will try and figure it out.
Yep.
But it was quite frustrating. But it wasn't the only heat-related issue I had while I was over there. My rear number plate has warped.
Has it? Oops. Is
that's how hot it was?
I was going to say it's quite strange because they're quite heavy, hard duty things. Tell you, I did see a clip the other day. Thought it was not amusing. Thought it was quite disturbing. It was actually a Volvo, where the Volvo dealer had put a self-tapping screw into either side of the number plate, and it didn't line up with the number plate mounting screws, and just drilled it straight through the bodywork.
Nice.
New boot lid, I think. Oops.
Yeah, nice. That's not good.
So just be careful of dealers. Here's another little story. Sorry, I've got to tell people about this one. The car that I'm in at the moment, my lad's iX3, went in for a service. Not going to say where. Pretty obvious, it's pretty local. Went in for a service, BMW dealership. My lad went to pay the bill. The lady behind the service desk said there's a charge for getting rid of your oil. And he just looked at her and she she said, yeah, it's across the board now, government this and disposable the oil, it's got to be done, in a proper way. And he went, for my car? She went, yes. He said, the one without any oil in it. And she just looked at him. So just be careful, because if that's happening, I don't think that's a mistake personally. I think that's people will just get to a particular BMW dealership and just pay the bills. I'd like to hear whether anyone else has had any similar stories.
Yeah, that would be interesting. We've got quite an expensive couple of months coming up with our cars, relatively speaking. That bloody Audi will need its rear tyres changing soon, and that's going to make me cry. Like 300 quid each. Yeah. Anyway, so that's one thing. Carla's car's due a major service a couple of weeks. Not specifically offering a plug, but we get it done on the drive by an EV specialist.
Good.
Who just comes along and does a full equivalent manufacturer's service. They're even on the full service, they even flush the brake fluid out, change all that, take the brakes apart, clean them up, re-grease them, all the things that don't normally get covered because it doesn't really need it, but that'll all get done. That's not massively expensive, but it is a full service. And then, as I already said this on the podcast, probably in October, I'll change all 4 tyres on hers and put cross climates on. I'm debating at the moment whether to go and change the wheels as well and go for a slightly larger wheel, but that's just for cosmetics.
Okay. It's interesting though, people don't realise just on that point that you can sometimes change a wheel size, and just because it's a bigger tyre doesn't necessarily mean it's more expensive. Sometimes it is. For something like Simon's car I'm suspecting you will have what sort of section tyres? 275s or
285 45s.
Yeah, I wasn't far off. They're going to be expensive pieces of kit, but sometimes just the more popular sizes, even though they could be bigger, could very well be cheaper. So have a little look at that.
And that is the case with Carla's. Carla's car, they are the cross climates are slightly cheaper in a one step up bigger. Not enough to offset the cost of the wheels, but it will offset some of the cost of the wheels.
Yeah.
And it might look at. I've never been a fan of the aesthetics of the wheels that's on it. I think they look a bit like tinfoil, but that's just a personal opinion.
Yep. All good, but that's it really. Nothing of interest. Just we've all been sweltering in our cars. Just look after yourself, because that adds to what I was saying at the beginning of this tiredness as well. The heat makes you ratty. It makes you tired a little bit quicker. So look after yourselves in these weather conditions. It's not just the winter where we've got to take extra care. It's in these summer months that provide different challenges also. Yeah.
And links nicely to one of your most recent videos about staying hydrated while driving as well, and when's the best time to take a sip of an appropriate beverage. Although that monster milkshake that you bought yourself was probably a little bit OTT, wasn't it?
I did it in the name of road safety, like he says in the video, Simon. So it's what it is.
And on expenses, no doubt. But yeah, we've always got water in the car and always stay hydrated. And I also do what you do with Liz as well. So if it's not one of those sports cap tops, I've got Carla in the car, she will always, as soon as she sees my hand going for the bottle, she's in there and she'll lift the top off for me and hand it to me.
Good on Carla.
Sometimes she doesn't pour it all over me, so it's great.
Fair play. Just please do stay hydrated. I did mention this on a little video I've just done driving down in Southampton, that if you feel as though you need to drink, you're already dehydrated and it can take so long to get you back. I know little bits of this because of my professional sports background. Take regular sips. Every half an hour or so, just have a little sip of the bottle. Don't have to have a big glug, so you're doing a 50-year-old need a wee every 2 seconds, but keep hydrated, please.
I will leave you with a story that will keep you amused. I once did a road trip over several days when I had the Westfield, and it was on my own. And at one point I was driving down from somewhere up north, probably Preston or somewhere like that, down to a friend's house in Swindon. Long drive. I had to get it done in the day. So I was on the motorway in the Westfield in warm weather, no roof. So I was needing to stay hydrated. I'd stopped at the services. I'd had a drink. I'd had used the facilities, bought myself another drink, set off back down the motorway. Typical M6 around Birmingham, like a car park, came to a complete stop in traffic. So I thought, this is a good opportunity for me to get a drink, and I bought myself a bottle of Lucozade, all screw top. And as I undid the screw top, it went up like a volcano. And I think it cleared the top of the windscreen because I actually found splashes of it on the scuttle. So it was on the dashboard, it was on the seats, it was clearly on me. And I'm in traffic, and the first thing I did was look to my side, and the person to my right had seen everything, and they were absolutely wetting themselves as I showered in warm, sugary Lucozade. It was not pleasant.
I bet that was sticky in the end as well, wasn't it, Simon?
Yeah.
Not nice. Not nice.
It was not a good choice of beverage to tuck into at that particular point.
Good story.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good. Should we bring this thing to a close?
I think so. It's been a good one tonight as well. Thank you, Simon. And thanks as always to everyone who listens in and tunes in. Without you viewers, we wouldn't be doing this. So thank you.
Very true. Very true. Yes. And as always, if you wish to reach out to us, you can send us an email at the address hello@thesmartdrivepodcast.co.uk. And as usual, it'll be me that reads it, and occasionally one of us will reply. Please keep them coming. All comments welcome. Absolutely. We'll do this again soon.
Take care, everyone. Speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.